he was later convicted, and he served about 3.5 years in prison. And after he was convicted of mail fraud, conspiracy to bribe public officials, and tax evasion. Since his release, however, he's written a book that maybe you guys bought today called Capital Punishment: The Hard Truth About Corruption from America's Most Notorious Lobbyists. Just a few minutes ago, Dan Culver, my guest, and I were looking through the book, and we came across a line that I thought we might read aloud. This is what Mr. Abramoff said about himself. We thought this was really interesting. I majored in English literature with the goal of becoming a lawyer and took advantage of as many Jewish study courses as I could find, including Hebrew language and Jewish law. My other academic focus confused all but my mother. I minored in opera. I was the powerlifting, football-playing, Orthodox Jewish, right-wing Republican opera buff. And he finishes, you know the type. Without further ado, please welcome Jack Abramoff.
I want to thank William Perry and Common Cause for having me here, and Mr. Boyd for your kind sponsorship. And for better or for worse, and mainly at the end worse, I built a very large lobbying practice over 10 years. I wound up building the practice, I guess, that as they rank these things by dollars, was the #1 practice in D.C. And along the way, we were very successful in that business. Our efforts almost never were without result. Only one time in 10 years did we actually lose anything. And what happened with that, I think with me, is that the ultimately winning became everything. And I was taking on clients that I supported their issues. I refused clients where I didn't agree with them. And I refused some very large clients. I didn't set out to certainly do anything bad or harm anyone, but as I kind of went down that path as a lobbyist and wanted to win, and ultimately became winning justified whatever one had to do to win, and then the next kind of dissembling remark that comes into that discussion is, well, these rules aren't made for us. They're made for them. You know, these little laws don't matter. It's not as important as what we're trying to do. And all sorts of other things that you know are wrong. You grow up and are taught that you don't do these things, but in the heat of whatever you're doing, sometimes, not any of you, but with me, I started disregarding them. And in a business where the line in the sand is drawn in a way that you can be so utterly contemptible and corrupt and can be completely legal in D.C. and in other jurisdictions, I was going over that line. And, you know, again, I'm sort of focused on win. We're winning. Who cares? Let's go. And then all of a sudden, in 2004, in March of 2004, the Washington Post puts out an article on its front page on a Sunday attacking me and my practice. And now to show you how, unfortunately, deep in the muck I was, my firm and I had an email discussion when this article came out. Now, what was the discussion? The discussion was, should we put the article on our website? Not, gee, this is a problem. Oh, boy, we ought to think about this. Should we put the article on our website? So some lobbyists had 6 tickets to the Redskins Stadium. I had 72. Difference. I mean, same thing, big deal. So people would take members of Congress to dinner. I owned 2 restaurants that were basically free cafeterias for them and their staff. Still food. This is the thought process. People take people to play golf. I have a Gulfstream. I'm taking them to play golf at St. Andrews. Okay? Again, this sort of weird, twisted analysis. Well, that lasted for a little while, and it kept going. And I had a moment at that point, which was very important in my life, which, again, virtually everybody I was in prison with has still not had this moment, which is maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not the saint I always thought I would be. Maybe these people who are attacking me that I hate so much, maybe there's something to it. And a process started for me, and it didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't in a day, and it wasn't even in a week. It was months where I was spending time going through the emails. And this is before I had the opportunity, as I ultimately did, to plea and cooperate and things like that. I was looking at myself, and it's not easy to look at yourself. 10 years later, look at everything you thought and wrote for 10 years and analyze it with the prism of maybe I shouldn't have been doing that. I indicted myself. I went through an analysis of myself. And in doing so, I also started rethinking the system that I played and played probably too well. And I started thinking principle-wise, why was I not applying the religious principles that I believed in and the citizen principles that I believed in to my political activities? Why was I, in essence, engaged in a system of legalized bribery? What was I doing? And again, over months and months and months, before I went to prison, I came to the conclusion it was all wrong and it was all bad and it's hurting the country. And a lot of our woes come from this. But then they passed what's called HLOGA, Honest Government Leadership. I forgot what and HLOGA was supposed to solve all the problems that were created from my scandal. And so my lawyer sent me HLOGA, and I read it, and I thought, there they go again. There they go again. It's great. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They're having a reform bill, and they're really not reforming. They're changing a few things, a little tougher to do this, that, and the other thing. But, I looked at it, and I thought, if I was a lobbyist, this would slow me down for maybe an hour. So I'm out there calling things by their actual name. If somebody wants something from the government special for themselves, and they give to a public servant something of financial value, I call that a bribe. And so I've been spending my time going around the country and talking about this and being open about what I did and what I was involved in the hope that people will take action. Now, the study is about to come out that shows that the increase in waste in the federal government is directly correlated to the increase in lobbying dollars. Look, I have endeavored since I was 13 years old to be religious. I haven't always made the mark. I'm not a saint, I'm a sinner. I wish I could say that I came to my senses in the middle of it. I so wish I could get up in front of an audience and say, it finally dawned on me that A did not equal B as it should have. But I didn't. And I'm ashamed to say that if it didn't happen to me like it did happen, where I just got my head cut off and obliterated, sadly, today I wouldn't be standing here. I'd probably be out in D.C. still doing it. Is the bill perfect? No, it's not. Is there? If I were a lobbyist here, I would run through that bill in about 3 seconds. Okay, there are too many loopholes in it, and there are too many things that are not clear. Look, when I go to places, especially legislatures, you know what state they brought up as the most corrupt state? Your state. Okay. Your state, where the lobbyists have the freest reign, it's like lobbyist Disneyland here, okay? If I, in my old days, was up against a good lobbyist in the sense of somebody well-behaved, they didn't have a chance, not a chance, okay? There was no way they're ever going to beat somebody like me, because while they were calling to get a meeting with the congressman, I was on the golf course with him, telling him exactly what our issues were, or flying him somewhere, or get him at a fundraiser. You can't compete with that. And that's why the money has got to come out of the system.
All right, let's give Jack a big round of applause. Thank you so much. William with Common Cause is going to say a few words before we conclude.
Yeah, just real quickly, we were listed as a presenting sponsor today, but I did want to recognize Ray Boyd, who, as a citizen, helped us present this. So we want to thank Ray for making this possible. Thank you, Ray.